Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Mental Health Mondays. Jumping on pretty late. My guest actually has been trying to get her connection to work, but we haven't quite figured it out yet. So I didn't want to just not jump on. I know I wrote that we were having a couple technical challenges, but here we are. I wanted to jump on and, get this rolling. So, you have joined Mental Health Mondays, which we do every single Monday. We're shifting the times a little bit just to try to get things to work. And then last week, we actually went live at 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, which it seemed like a lot more people actually were watching during that time. But either way, normally we go live at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And we talk to guests who experience a mental health challenge or those that are professionals in the mental health space or advocates for mental health. And this week, I guess you get me by myself again. That's okay though, because there are some really cool things rolling or that are getting started. And so I guess I'll just share that with you. So, if you didn't have a chance and you haven't gotten any chances to go back and watch all of our other episodes, I would highly, highly recommend. We are now on episode, what is this, 27, 28, something around that number, which is awesome. We've had some really incredible guests, and make sure that if you watch this on YouTube, that you're hitting that subscribe button. The more people that we can get to subscribe, the better, of course, and you'll get an alert that we do go live. So make sure you mash down that button, the subscribe button, which should be right down below and or to one of the sides, depending on how this shows up to you. So grab the button and push it with your finger. Okay, yeah, it doesn't work that way. So make sure you subscribe. Otherwise, you can always check out, if you're watching it on the Facebook page, you can check out when we have these scheduled. I usually don't schedule them until about the day before, so you'll probably either see them pop up on, well, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, just because I don't want it to like overtake the page on Facebook. So you can always watch out for it. Or just remember, we go live every single Monday at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time for the most part. If we are going to schedule it later, we'll let you know. So, yay! Those are the technicalities of today. So, I was going to have my good friend Kelly Haugh on here, which she is the author of Mind Your Gut, but we're just going to move her to next week, and that is totally okay. Unless for some reason she ends up popping in and I'll bring her up. But I really want her to be able to share her experience and her story and a little bit more about Mind Your Gut, because it's a book that we actually showcase and have in our Be Kind to Your Mind care packages that we do for teachers, and then just the stress ones. So really cool to be able to have her on, and we'll bring her back next week. Don't worry. We'll never go without having a guest. So that goes to my next point though. We need more guests. So are you a person who has lived experience with mental health, like a mental health challenge or disorder, and you want to share your journey and your story with our audience? Reach out to me at support@BCC evolution.org. It's .org, not .com. And actually, I think I made a banner last week. Maybe not. I don't know. Anyways, they're somewhere here. So you can always send me a message, and you can be one of my guests, which is really cool. So reach out, let me know if you want to be a guest, and we'll get you scheduled. The other cool things that are happening right now is we just had an adult mental health first aid class, and we had 8 total people in that class. It was really, really amazing. And just the knowledge that we bring to these groups, it's really, for whatever reason, every single time I have a class, there's always some sort of synergy between the group. And it's just really cool to be able to share their experience, and then also give them even more knowledge about mental health. And if you're not familiar, mental health first aid really teaches you how to recognize, identify, and assist those in need that may be experiencing or live with a mental health challenge or a substance use disorder. So it's really more of a general overview of all things mental health. There's an adult version, which is adults assisting adults. And then there's a youth version, which is adults assisting youth. So you do have to be 18 or over to join any of those classes. But I just got trained in the teen version also back in April, which is specifically designed for 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. So there is a curriculum for most all ages, which is great. And it really gives you that general overview of what is mental health, why is it important, how can I actually help somebody if they're in a non-crisis or a crisis situation. And then you get a 3-year certification, just like you would with CPR or regular first aid. And then you can show it proudly, print it out, show everybody, say, I'm a mental health first aider. And for me, I love educating. I find that every time I do the classes, I just love being there. It energizes me. It doesn't, sometimes it drains me because there's a lot of information that you go over, and the classes are anywhere between 5 to 7 hours. So it can be a lot, but they're really, really great. And the information is great. And then if you're one or a person like me that just loves leveling up their knowledge and getting more experience and more exposure with mental health and suicide awareness and substance abuse and trauma and all those things that I think now are really cool. BCC Evolution just dropped our Breaking the Cycle of Trauma Master Education program. And that's like the next level from mental health first aid. So mental health first aid gives you that general overview. And then Breaking the Cycle goes beyond that into like more of trauma. Like, why is it important to understand trauma, and why, as we grow up, like we go through these different maturation periods, and why is it important to understand this, especially when you throw some traumatic events in there, whether it be a divorce, it could be child abuse, domestic violence, substance use, literally my trauma, how I experience trauma is going to be very different from how you experience trauma. And so it really just showcases the different levels of trauma, and also gives us a travel through trauma. So we talk to, well, we have 3 people, mine included, stories in the actual education program that give you this run through of what they experienced when they were younger and throughout life, and then what has helped them. And then the last part, we really go into resiliency, and then building your own safety and self-care plans. So I designed it with myself and multiple experts, and we really, I am just really excited about it. So our first class is going to be towards the end of July, and then there's a instructor portion of that. So you can actually become an instructor for Breaking the Cycle of Trauma and add a new revenue stream to your other revenue streams that you may or may not have, or just add an extra. So all of our instructors are independent contractors. They get trained through BCC Evolution, but really technically it is your own business, and you can go out and start educating people more about mental health, trauma, substance use, all of those things. And so Kelly actually popped in here. We're going to see if we can hear her. I'm going to bring you on. We'll see. Can I hear you?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yay! Yay, I can. Yes.
Oh my gosh. So much trouble.
Right. No worries. I was like, hey, I'm just going to go live. And then if she happens to pop on, I'll
Great.
bring her in. And if not,
Yeah, awesome.
yay. So I'm glad that you were able to jump in. I'm going to change up, not that way, this way. Then I can see your face better.
Okay.
Cool. So tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
So I am technologically challenged.
That's okay.
That's my number one thing. No, joking aside, but joking helps, right? Can be frustrating. So my kind of background story is I had sudden onset OCD at 23 years old, very high anxiety. And then I had super high anxiety for a good portion of 2 decades, 20 years. And then through, I tried all the mainstream, the regular, just regular talk therapy and lots of medication, handfuls of medication, which really just barely did anything for me. And I knew there had to be a different and better way to approach the whole thing, but I couldn't figure that out for a long time. But through lots of trial and error, I finally figured out, other ways that really help and make a huge difference for anxiety, for depression, including then I have an autistic daughter. She's 15. And when she was about 12 to 15 months old, we found out she had leaky gut, which at that point, most people hadn't heard of. I certainly hadn't heard of it at that point. She had dysbiosis, so lots of bad gut bugs, not nearly enough good ones. And so I really delved into all of that to figure out for her, how could we make a big difference in her life? And through all of the research I did on that, ended up figuring out that, not only do a lot of kids with autism have a lot of gut issues that then affects the brain, but people with stress, anxiety, depression also have a lot of gut issues. And, people might present with the stress or anxiety. Stress everyone has, but truly an anxiety or a depression thing, or they might present with a gut issue. And pretty much either direction, you've got, either the brain is affecting the gut or the gut is affecting the brain. And so delving into that for not only people with autism, but people with anxiety and depression, and what a big difference changing that and getting that balance back can make.
Wow. So, I know your story, but I know that there's so many layers, right, that go into this, and we don't really ever think about that connection, right? And so I know through doing NLP, I've explored that we have 3 brains versus the 2, right? So we have our head, our heart, and our gut. And so being able to align those is really important, especially like you said, around autism and then just stress in general. So
yeah, definitely. It really, I think more people are hearing of it at least, which is great. And then, some more people in mainstream are really, finally getting it, which is great. And yeah, definitely, just like you're saying, yeah, the gut and brain are connected, the gut, brain, and heart are connected. And there's so many easy things people can do to make such a big difference in their daily lives, which then, if each day is a little better, your week is better, your month is better. And, I really want to help people with that, starting back at the chronic stress load being, you constantly have stress coming in. But when people aren't addressing that, as you know, then that often turns into a depression issue, into an anxiety issue, instead of just, if you're addressing that stress every day and actually, instead of pulling it all in and keeping it, you're actually getting rid of some, then that stress load isn't sitting there so hard. And so, just affecting everything.
yeah, I think, I know personally, I have experienced migraines since I was little, actually, since I was, I want to say 10, probably. I don't know. But I usually only got them about twice a year. And then there was maybe I want to say about 4 years ago, that I was having migraines almost every single day. And it was related due to hormones, because I shifted from like a Mirena into pills. And then they're like, well, at your age, you shouldn't be on pills. But it was causing the migraines to happen more frequently. And so I found that I had a friend, they're like, do you know about like the mind gut connection? And I was like, no. And they're like, you probably need to like look into your gut health. And I was like, why? I've always had migraines.
Right.
And when I started getting more aware and actually taking products that were good for my gut, like they just went away. And I was like,
Right.
what? Wait, what?
Yeah, for sure. It makes a huge difference. Yeah. People underestimate or just don't have a clue that your gut can really affect the brain. And yeah, which of course is, the whole neurological with headaches and all of that. I mean, it's a huge thing, and it can really make a big difference. Yeah.
So what are some of the simple or potential simple things that people could start to do?
So as far as one thing for stress and for helping the vagus nerve, and that's the nerve, the big master nerve that runs really all down your whole spinal cord. So connecting the gut and the brain and the heart. One really good thing people can do, I'll just give a couple tips today, but one would be to stimulate that humming. Humming can actually stimulate your vagus nerve, which is nice and easy. And so you can just hum a little tune. And when you're humming, you're stimulating all of the nerves on the palate of the mouth, which is then stimulating the vagus nerve. And if you take your hum and you move it around in your mouth, like from way up front, way to the back, I'll kind of demonstrate, like, kind of like, so you can move it forward and backward. And that is like a real easy thing you can do. And you could totally do it in your car and nobody's going to know what you're doing anyway. So that's a really good one to do. And it helps to stimulate that and to kind of just reset you. Another one I love to do is, I call it the ha breath. And so anyone who has played a musical instrument, like a woodwind instrument, already knows like diaphragmatic breathing. But a lot of people aren't really aware of it. If you say, take a deep breath, they get what that means. Like they're just going to go, breathe in and out. You're taking a deep breath. And that's helpful in and of itself. But on the diaphragmatic breathing, we're going to breathe more how like a baby breathes. And so when we start breathing in, we want to let our tummy out and relax, and then breathe all the way up into our throat, neck, mouth. And then when we're going to exhale starting from here. And then we're going to bring it all the way back down to our tummy, and then pull our tummy in like toward our spinal cord. And so that's, you're getting a nice, truly big deep breath in by doing this diaphragmatic breathing. So breathing in, you're going to let the tummy out all the way up and then down. And then push the tummy back into the spinal cord. And so a really good one to do on this is, you're going to breathe all the way up and in for 4. You're going to hold for 4, and you're going to let out for 6. And this is a really good reset. So and when you do that, and then you get that last little, you want to extinguish those last little bits of air. And it kind of makes that ha sound when you're doing that. And so those are 2 really good, really easy resets people can do throughout the day, anytime. And, the breathing one, unless you're being excessively loud at the end, they don't know you're doing that one either. So if you're feeling really stressed, really anxious, or even if you are feeling low, depressed, out of energy, and you do this breathing, it helps because you're getting a whole lot more actual oxygen in and letting out all the bad stuff. So those are a couple of my favorite quick ones to do.
That's awesome. I mean, and you can really, like you said, you can do it anywhere that you're at. Nobody's really going to know unless you're like, ah, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But otherwise, I mean, you can feel like in your head, like you're getting more oxygen and getting that energy back. And so I love that those are quick ones that you can potentially do any place, anytime.
Right.
So I would love to hear a little bit more about your book. I did mention before you jumped on that we have your book in our Be Kind to Your Mind care packages.
Awesome.
So we have it in our main one, which is like our stress relief, and then we have it in our teacher one. So tell a little bit about your book.
Okay, yeah. And I had a copy in here, but my daughter's home today and she didn't want that in here, so she took it away. Okay. So yeah, if people want to see the cover or read a little more, little snippets about it, they can go to mindyourgutbook.com. Mind Your Gut. And then, oh, cool. There we go. And on there, it just tells, a few snippets more in depth about it too. But the book, I started and stopped writing a book for quite a long time, and it was going to kind of be focused on OCD and anxiety. And it kind of ended up morphing into what it is now. And it is about OCD, anxiety, autism, depression, all things mental health, brain health, and then all things gut health. And that whole mind and gut piece together and how they work together. And so I have some good solid science in there, but I wanted it to be also very readable for people. So nobody would just like glaze over and, be like, I can't read this thing. So it's got a decent amount of science, but also, short stories and things people can, read through and really just pick up some really good tips on things they can start doing to help their gut health, things, to stop eating or avoid eating, or, at least not eat as much of things that are helpful for your gut health to eat. I have a fermented foods area in there, and I have my sauerkraut recipe in there. And, that's one really good way people can make their own sauerkraut at home. And get pre and probiotics in, and it's really awesome way to do it, and it's fresh and tasty. So that's a good one. I like that one a lot. I talk a little bit about other pre and probiotics, the whole connection of really just a holistic approach to your health in general. Your mental and physical health both. And then I think it's 8 or 9 stress buster tips in there, which is kind of like what we just went through. Just a variety of different things people can do for themselves that aren't hard, that most of them don't cost much money, things like that. I want people to actually use these things and actually feel better. So that was my main goal, to kind of tell, also, as you know, I'm out to break the stigma. I don't want people to feel ashamed and feel alone and feel like, they're the only ones struggling with mental health issues. And so to kind of get, some more stories out about that. And, if you just met me, you certainly wouldn't know all the things I've been through. And, the anxiety I've carried and all of that. And, as you know, so many people do struggle and they feel alone. And I just don't want that for people. I want people to be able to talk about all of these things openly, just like they would if they broke their ankle or if they had a heart attack or whatever. I mean, it's mental, but it's your whole body that works together to make that or break that mental health. So just kind of bringing in all those stories and One story I tell kind of at the beginning that it's always one of my favorite. It's about my daughter and how when she was nonverbal till almost 4, and like literally it wasn't mama, dada, gaga, goo goo, nothing. There was nothing. And we had just sort of started thinking, maybe she'll never talk, like never. And we had just started thinking that way, like maybe we're going to have to accept that, like we've tried all these things and, it hasn't worked yet. And then, so we had been doing a variety of things and added in fish oil for her, like a year to 18 months before this particular time period. And then we met a doctor who was MD trained, but he turned more, a lot more holistic and naturopathic. And he had a son with autism, and he was well advanced before his time on knowing what the huge connection was between the gut and the brain and all the things he helped his son with. This is like, 14 years ago now, and his son was a teenager then. Most nobody had heard of any of these things at that point. And so he said, well, you need to add in digestive enzymes for her. Even though you're giving her the fish oil, which is good for the brain can only access about 20% of that. And if you add in the enzymes, then the brain can get about 85-90% of that, and which we had never heard of. And again, gut health and enzymes and how it just all works together. And so anyway, we added that in for her, and within a week to 10 days, she said her very first word, which was insane. And it was butterfly. That was her very first word. After nothing, like literally nothing, then her very first word was bye.
Oh.
She pointed at this butterfly, and it was so cute. And it was like, we were like floored, and I love that story. And I love that it illustrates the importance of the gut things for the brain. I mean, it is huge. And, this is 14 years ago now. So with that, and then all the other research I ended up doing after that, just, delving into all that and finding out how much it is all connected and what a big difference in just little things, and that's what I love is like, you could do little things for your gut, you can do little things for your brain, and it can just add up to being really big in your life and making a huge difference for you.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's really the most important too, is like, it doesn't have to be like this complete like lifestyle change, right? Like, we're not asking you to just like completely change everything that you do. There are small steps. I mean, depending on how extreme whatever you're going through,
Right.
or whatever is showing up, based off of your challenge, but you can do small steps. And that's, I mean, amazing that you were able to find something simple, right, to be able to help your daughter. And so I know that as she's gotten older, right, there's still challenges that happen, and you still, right, like, I'm sure as they get older, it's like you can't really tell them what to do as much anymore. But I think keeping on the same path, I know, like, for my son, he takes CBD oil due to seizures that he had, right? Like, and who knows, maybe he'll probably always be on that, because I don't want to experience that again. But it was like that one thing that
Yeah.
changed the whole trajectory of our lives. And so, yeah, it can be something really simple that we're just not talking about.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So I love your book. I know that when you and I connected, I just felt like a synergy between us from
Mhm.
day one.
Absolutely.
We're both very much advocates for mental health. And I mean, you have this amazing book that can help people just in simple terms. It doesn't have to get overly complicated, but if you want to, you have the science behind it too,
Oh, yeah.
which I think is great. Any last like tips, tricks, or advice or thoughts that you want to throw out there?
I guess, what just popped in my head was, so there's the book, and that's a really easy, good place for people to start. I have an online program that people can do on their own if they wanted to, or I can, work one-on-one with people. I think sometimes people think, if you say, "Oh, I'm a wellness coach and I help with these things," that they feel like that might be an overwhelming thing for them, or that might take too much time or too much money. But it truly is amazing how much, really just checking in with, like, here's what you're doing now, and here's where you want to get, and like, here's some things for you personally that if you change these few things, it could make a really big difference for you. And I just want to, I guess, put that out there that, that's available for people. And I think people often feel, as they just feel overwhelmed and they don't even know where to start, changing things, whether it's anxiety, depression, or a gut issue, whatever that is. I mean, I think, people feel hopeless and helpless a lot. And if that, if the traditional just mainstream stuff isn't working out, I just want people to know there are a lot of other holistic, natural, everything that people can do to make a big difference.
Yeah, definitely advocate for yourself and advocate for your loved ones and anybody else around you. And if it's not working, then find an alternative. And there's a lot of people like Kelly out there that can help you if these are the type of things that you're going through. And same, I know, goes both ways for her and I, is if we aren't able to help you, we can find somebody. We have a large connection of whether it's holistic or professional or whatever you're looking for, but be sure to advocate for yourself and your loved ones. So,
Yeah.
And if you want to get a copy of This Is Her book, I have lots of copies at my house because I put them in the boxes. If you want to grab a copy of her book, you can grab that specifically. You could also grab one of our Be Kind to Your Mind care packages. The regular one has her book in it, which is our stress relief box. And so you can grab her copy and a bunch of cool BCC Evolution stuff too. And or just go grab the book. And I know it's on your website, but then do you also sell it like on Amazon or?
It's Amazon, yeah.
Cool. So it's on.
Type in my name or type in the title, either one, and then it'll pop up.
Sweet. So Amazon, on the website, from BCC Evolution, like there's lots of places to get them, but thank you so much, Kelly, for joining me. And one more time, because I know you have, it's mindyourgut.com, right?
Mindyourgutbook.com.
Book. Okay. Mindyourbook.com. And then if they want to work with you specifically, where should they go?
Really, just they could send me an email or text me is fine. And I don't know if you want me to say that or if you want to write it in later or whatever.
It's totally up to you. I did put all your information in the comments. So okay. I listed your Facebook group. I listed your regular website, and then I can add in, I didn't have the book one, so I can add that in there too. But cool. Yeah, definitely go find Kelly if you are having challenges coming up and you want to explore the brain gut connection. She is a great resource. And even just having conversations about all the things she listed off, right? Anxiety, OCD. If you have a child that experiences autism, right? Have a chat.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much for joining me. And I'm glad we were able to get you finally on.
Yes. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right.
All right. That was another amazing episode of Mental Health Mondays. I didn't know for sure if she was going to be able to jump in or not, but I'm really glad she was able to. I know we're like, go get your phone, go get a different phone, go get a different microphone. We were trying to make it all work, but we finally got it to work. So even with all of the technical difficulties going almost an hour later than we normally do, that's okay. Because you know what? We're not looking for perfection. This is really, truly just to get out the information and have some incredible guests on the show that are able to give you tips, tricks, everyday things that you can do, and show you what is available to you. Really, truly, that is what Mental Health Mondays are for. What resources are available to you? What experts are there out in the world, whether it be life skills, whether it be holistic, whether it be professional. That really truly is the goal all in itself for Mental Health Mondays. So, subscribed or shared any of these, please do that, whether you're watching this on Facebook or you're watching this on YouTube. Make sure that you are able to see when we go live every single Monday around 11 a.m. ish, 11:05 ish, 11:50 ish, not about perfection. So, we have guests who are in the mental health space. We also have mental health advocates and those that live with or experience a mental health challenge. And those are our guests. And like I said at the top of this, is we're looking for more guests. So maybe you are one of those people and you want to share your story, or maybe you're like really good at finances, or maybe you're really good at I would love to have somebody on here that is a homeless expert. Like they know the resources for people who experience homelessness. I would love to have somebody on here that knows more about that. So if you know that person, send them my way. I just am trying to provide as many resources. If you know an expert with like LGBTQIA plus resources, please send them my way. As we're wrapping even up the month of Pride, every day really is Pride, right? Like we support, and I hope that you all support. We're an ally, right? And we don't discriminate. So we're here to just give resources and help everybody really in the mental health and suicide awareness space. So that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much again for joining, and we will see you next Monday, hopefully around 11 a.m. if we don't have any technical difficulties. If not, just make sure you check to see if we've made any comments that we might be coming on later or if it's scheduled later. And again, BCC Evolution is a 501c3 nonprofit. We can't do any of our education, any of our programs without your help. So make sure you go and check out our website at bccevolution.org. See the programs, see the resources. We did just launch 3 actually new shirts for Pride Month for allies and for those who are LGBTQIA plus. And we also have our Warriors for Mental Health. So really with only a $20 donation or more per month back to BCC Evolution, you get a really cool Warriors for Mental Health shirt. I didn't wear it today. I wore one of our Love Life shirts. But these are on our shirts also. So you can check out Bonfire. We have a store on there that have our Love Life and the ones that we just rolled out. And there's lots of swag. And like I said earlier with Kelly, we have our Be Kind to Your Mind care packages and our stress relief boxes. So go grab one today. And you can check out Kelly's book too. All right, y'all. I'll see you next Monday.